Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. We're actually in the middle of cooking a delicious recipe. My name is Vicki. I am a senior nutrition educator for New Jersey SNAP Ed. And then I'm also here with Carlea, who is the director of the Network Relations Department at the Community Food Bank of New Jersey, right here in Hillside. So hi Carlea, so happy for you to join us today.
How you doing?
Good. So for this wonderful Mother's Day special, we're going to be learning a little bit more about Carlea, and we're also going to be prepping a wonderful popular Southern dish with a twist, if I may add. It's going to be vegetarian collard greens, but I promise you it's still going to taste delicious. So let's get started. So we already prepped some of our ingredients. I have here in this pot, I don't know if you smell it, Carlea.
It smells so good.
But we have some butter. We have a tablespoon of butter, tablespoon of olive oil, and I added half of a white onion. If you use a large onion, you can use half. If you have a medium-sized onion, you can use the entire onion just to give it some nice flavor. I took a lemon and I spread it on the cutting board because with the acidity, it helps to prevent the gases from the onion to rise up, so it helps to prevent the tearing.
Wow.
So, gotta try it.
I have to try it. No more shades when cutting onions.
Oh,
it really doesn't work.
I used to do the sunglasses too.
Inside, it's so funny.
So there's a lot of different methods. You can even heat up the onion in the microwave for like 30 seconds or so, and that'll also help too. So a lot of new tips and tricks with cutting an onion. Who would have thought?
Now I can get my children to do it now.
Yes. So we just added the onion, so it looks pretty translucent, which is what we're going for. So now, Carly, if you wouldn't mind adding the garlic,
Right.
give it a nice flavor.
Right. So I minced about 3 cloves of garlic. And I love the flavor that garlic gives the collard greens.
Yeah.
Oh, let me just get a little bit of that.
Yeah, the reason why we're adding the garlic in after is because garlic cooks very quickly, so the onions take a little bit longer to cook, so we wouldn't want to put the garlic in first because it might burn. And then, you know, I don't know if you ever had burnt garlic in a dish, but it tastes like, your whole dish tastes like burnt garlic.
Yes. So overpowering.
So as we're going to let this cut, I know you were prepping some of these beautiful collard greens.
Yes. So the way I like to prep my greens, first have to cook the greens because you want to get all that dirt and residue off.
Yes.
And then roll it like a burrito and get to chopping. All right. Some people, you know, my husband likes to have his greens small. He doesn't like to have a full leaf in his mouth. So after you do that, depending on, you know, who you're cooking for, you can do a final chop after that.
Oh, okay. That's great. And I know especially too with like leafy greens, they tend to carry more like excess dirt. So like you mentioned, it's definitely very important to make sure to thoroughly wash them before you start to prep them.
Absolutely.
For sure. And the other great thing too is that collard greens are actually in season. So they tend to be at a lower cost. So if you go to a local grocery store or even a local farmer's market, they're going to be at a very lower cost, very inexpensive. So definitely get your collard greens.
Absolutely. Collard greens is one of my family's favorite vegetables.
Yes?
We make it often, very, like I would say almost weekly, if not every other week.
Oh, okay. So how do you normally prep your collard greens?
So generally, something different that you have here that I don't generally use is tomato, but I use the same thing: onions, garlic, butter, because butter makes it better, a little bit of olive oil. But I'm really excited about the tomatoes that you're adding to it. So it adds a good flavor and color.
Yes. So I'm actually cutting up 2 tomatoes, and I'm removing the seeds. There tends to be extra you know, water content with the seeds, so we're not trying to add too much liquid because we're already going to be adding the vegetable stock. So I did remove the seeds. I'm almost done here, and actually what we can mix in too with everything is the crushed red pepper. So would you mind adding some crushed red pepper?
That gives it a nice kick.
Yes, so we will go do a teaspoon, and I have it right over here.
Right?
Yes. So I like that you mentioned, you know, with collard greens too, they're normally made with, you know, pork, or I know you mentioned turkey.
Turkey is what we prefer, yes.
Yes, to give it that nice flavor.
Yes.
With this being a vegetarian dish, adding those crushed red pepper flakes is really going to mix in very nicely with the onions and the garlic and give that little pop of flavor going on there.
Right.
So beautiful. Yes. So I have my tomatoes done here.
And I'm almost finished getting this to the exact teaspoon, or teaspoon recommended. I'm just going to go ahead and just add that in there.
All right, off a little bit. So can you believe that Mother's Day already passed? Where does the time go?
I swear, after I turn 21, it's like every day just goes fast. But yes, Mother's Day goes fast, but you know, us mothers, Mother's Day is every day.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. What would you say is your favorite Mother's Day memory?
My favorite Mother's Day memory was my very first Mother's Day. I had my daughter. She's a beautiful baby girl, Mia Imani. And my husband presented me with my first Mother's Day gift. Flowers, balloons, you know, and then I naturally was a mess, you know, crying. So excited to be a first-time mother. And then after that, my family visited, along with my parents, visited my grandmother. So it was just very, very special for us to all be together for my first Mother's Day, 4 generations of mothers.
That's beautiful, and that memory is something that you'll be able to cherish forever.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful.
Yes. How about you? What's your favorite day, Mother's Day memory with your mother?
So my mom is a phenomenal cook, and you know, you can see that great conversations revolve around cooking. Mm-hmm. So, you know, just having those moments where I cook with her on Mother's Day together, it's very sentimental. So it's definitely stuff that I'll always remember with my mom.
Do you do the dishes?
Yes, come on. You know I gotta do the dishes in the house.
Okay.
Or I can't eat what she cooked. So
absolutely, that's what you have to learn. You have to learn early to cook.
Yes.
And then always help mom afterwards. I think that, you know, one thing that's so helpful for me to be able to still prepare dishes in this, you know, time that we're, you know, dealing with the pandemic and just being busy mothers is having my kids in the kitchen early. My kids are my sous chefs, specifically speaking my daughter, who will prepare or pre-prepare all the meals that I need. So specifically speaking on like a Tuesday, when my family's like, we really want a meal, right?
Yeah.
What does that consist of? Collard greens,
yes,
macaroni and cheese, fried chicken. How do you do that as a working mother? Well, my daughter's down there and she's preparing my greens, washing them, folding them, cutting them, cutting up the macaroni and cheese, and doing all those things so that when I walk in the door, I'm able to prepare a meal in like 2.5 hours.
Oh, that's wonderful. And not only that, but she's going to be a pro at making those meals when she's older, and if she wants to, to cook for the family. Oh,
she doesn't even appreciate what she's learning now. I'm setting her up for success.
So you mentioned collard greens and mac and cheese.
Yes.
Would you say those are dishes you're known for cooking?
Yes.
Or?
Well, definitely collard greens. And my husband's family, Sturdivant family, they have this famous macaroni and cheese recipe, as they are all chefs by nature. So I've stolen that recipe and I present that to my family or whatever gathering that I go to. Everybody's like, you're famous macaroni and cheese. So along with my collard greens, my macaroni and cheese is kind of famous as well.
Well, if you make any, please send them my way, because I have a very soft spot for mac and cheese.
All right. Now, definitely make sure I send that plate to you. But I'm curious to know how you can help me think of a more healthy alternative when preparing macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, absolutely. So especially everybody loves the cheese, right? But there's ways that you can add in more vegetables into the mac and cheese. So maybe try adding more greens, add spinach, add some broccoli in there. It'll give it a nice flavor, and you're still getting the nutrition from the vegetables, and especially with the flavors in the mac and cheese. It's going to overpower the vegetables a little bit too. So especially if you have picky eaters at home, they're not going to be like, oh, what's in here? They won't even tell.
That's
they won't
even
tell.
Good way to sneak those vegetables.
Yes.
I'm going to try it with spinach. I think that's
definitely try it. Speaking of greens, so this garlic is smelling phenomenal with the onions. I think it's time to add our greens in.
All right.
What do you think?
All right, well, I'm just going to grab this real quick. Throw that in there. A little bit of mess.
And we had a pound of collard greens.
Okay.
And even though you're like, it's a pound, you're going to, it's like with spinach,
down.
you're going to see it cook down.
Yes, always. Always going to cook down.
Oh, that looks delicious.
Smells so good. Let me just grab this a little bit.
Yeah.
Make sure we get it all in there.
Every last bit counts.
That's right.
You have to. Okay, so I'm gonna start mixing this in here a little bit. So we're combining the collard greens with the onions, the garlic, the red pepper flakes, and then we're gonna add in 3 cups of vegetable stock.
Vegetable stock.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with vegetable stock, usually there's also low sodium options. So especially if you don't want to have a lot of salt added to your dish, you can always get a low sodium option. So I'm going to actually add this in right now.
I'm really excited to see how this tastes with the vegetable stock. I generally use chicken stock.
Okay.
Or smoked turkey.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm here. I'm sold.
Yeah. I mean, especially with collard greens, I think the cool thing is that it just takes so many different flavors like very well. So whether if you're using the pork or the turkey, or in this instance, you know, the vegetable juice, it's really still going to add such a great flavor. Now, what recommendations do you have to, you know, if I'm making collard greens, what do you recommend pairing it with, you know, with the dish?
So again, trusty macaroni and cheese. I prefer like a catfish or chicken,
Yeah.
or even a pork chop. I tend to lean to the fried side, but when I'm trying to be healthy,
Yeah.
broiled is always like the way to go.
Boiled, okay.
Broiled ribs, nice
Making me
barbecue
really
rib,
hungry
barbecue rib
here.
on the grill. My husband likes to grill, so he'll do all that on the grill. Now that it's getting warmer outside,
Yeah.
we'll start transitioning and having more of those grilled proteins and thinking of
Yeah.
healthier options instead of the fried stuff that you
Right.
get when you're indoors.
Yeah.
But that's generally how they like it. And then if I put like a piece of like some cornbread,
Yeah.
they're in love. That's it.
Yeah, and that's important to know too, that you can still enjoy your foods and there's just ways to add more nutrition to it. You know, like you mentioned, broiling and baking maybe instead of frying all the time, you know, that's great. So what I'm gonna do here, so I raised the heat up a little bit because I wanna bring this up to a simmer, okay? And then once the leaves start to get a little tender, so I'm actually going to cover this and we're gonna let this set for about 40 minutes. And then once it's tender, I'm gonna add in my tomatoes. That's when you add in the tomatoes, and then you add in some salt and some pepper. If you wanna add a little bit of zing too towards the end, you can even add in some vinegar as well, just to give it a little more flavor in there. So there's definitely a lot of different components here, but when it comes together, it's so good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we're gonna let this sit here for a moment. And then, so I know you mentioned some of the meals that you're known for, but do you have like a favorite meal that you feel like you can have every day?
Oh my goodness. I'm definitely a foodie.
Oh,
So
yes.
in general, like seafood I can definitely have every day. Like my paella, my family loves it, but I'm a cheat, right? So I'll cook like my paella in the rice cooker, but like all my seafood, like butter, fresh garlic, scallions, I'll kind of put that in a separate dish and kind of pan sear that and toss that together. That's like the quickest thing that I can do. My kids go crazy for a nice drop cheddar Red Lobster biscuit just to top it off. Toss salad. That's like the quickest meal that I can put together.
Biscuits.
Not the biscuits.
Oh my god. That's amazing. The biscuits.
I'm always looking for something fast, and just want to make sure that I'm just filling the kids up. So when you have a biscuit or a roll or something, it kind of makes it like the cherry on the top.
That sounds. I'm a foodie too. Don't forget about that. I love trying different foods, and even though there's something I'm not sure about, it's always good to try to expose yourself to new different things, because that's the only way you're going to know if you really like it or not, right? But so while we're letting this simmer, we actually prepped a batch here of the collard greens.
All right,
So let me put this together. Oh, look
that
at
smells
this.
so good.
This just looks phenomenal. It smells like so good. So I'm gonna actually make a little bowl for you.
Thank you.
Such nice color with the tomatoes too. That's for
Thank
you.
you.
I'll give you a fork.
Right.
Let me put this in here for myself. Alright. Alright, I can't wait to try this.
It's the time we've been waiting
I feel
for.
like it's talking to me and saying, you need to try this right now.
It smells
Alright.
delicious.
So it came like such beautiful colors in here.
Yes.
We have the kale. You see the bright color of the tomatoes that's in here too. So let's...
Okay.
Cheers!
Cheers. Okay, moment of truth. This is good. I have to say I wasn't a believer. It doesn't have turkey in it, or pork, or turkey stock. Or chicken stock.
Wow.
The kick
Yes. You're like,
Pepper
oh,
flakes.
okay. You're like, oh.
Really good.
Yes.
This is good. I think I'm a believer.
I think we're gonna have to eat more after this too.
Oh, I was planning on it.
And the tomato, it really adds such a good flavor too once it sat into the dish. You're getting so much nutrition out of this too. So like with kale, it has a good source of calcium, so it's great for your bone health. And actually, both kale and tomatoes have, yes, I'm sorry, collard greens.
We're cooking that next.
I know, yes, we're gonna do that next. Both the collard greens and the tomatoes actually have a great source of vitamin C. So that's great for your immune health. Now, I always thought it was oranges. Like, okay, I have to have more oranges, more orange juice. Then I'm learning about more other fruits and vegetables that have a high source of vitamin C.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
I don't know if I shared this with you, but my kids love collard greens and kale. And they drink, my husband drinks the collard green juice. And so if I sneak some of that tomato in, look what I'm doing, right? Making sure that they're getting all the nutrients that they need.
So collard green juice.
The juice, the broth from the collard green. My husband will drink that.
Okay, I'll need a cup after this.
Sure.
That's
That's how much I
amazing.
love it.
And you're still getting the nutrition from it too. I'm learning so much from you.
And me from you.
Yes.
I would have never used vegetable stock.
Yeah.
And I'm really a believer. This is delicious.
Well, I'm happy you enjoyed it, and I'm so excited that you were a part of this today. And it was great to learn more about you and Mother's Day. And, overall with Mother's Day, like you said, it's meant to be celebrated every day. And it's celebrating somebody that's special in your life.
That's right. Well, thank you for the invite.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Of course.
Look forward to having the opportunity to cook many more dishes with you.
Yes, and me too. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. I hope you had as much fun as we did. For more recipes such as the vegetarian collard greens, please visit NewJerseySNAPEd.gov, as well as the Community Food Bank of New Jersey's website, CFBNJ.org. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.